Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Shri Shri Rukmin Dwarkadhish ki jai Zavangrej Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shil Prabhupada ki jai Skonguru Vrinda ki jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyanandana Shalokaya Chakshurun Militam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutare Swayam Rupakadam Hem Dalati Swapadantikam Vanshagavataruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutare Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Padai Mahatpriyai Mahapura Vibhur Nirmayakshate Hadamusha Purusha Bhunkta Gunan Sadasu Sadasatmaka Ilang Krisista Bhagavan Vachansi Me. Hare Krishna. So, before I begin, I wanted to say that I'm very happy to have the blessing of the association of so many wonderful Vaishnavas of New Dwarka. And I wanted a special blessing this morning for before we begin reading and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very much in line with the subject matter of this first chapter, which we'll touch upon. And it is your active participation. We should take advantage of so many knowledgeable and experienced Vaishnavas' presence. And one interesting feature of Srila Prabhupada's purports is that whatever he says is always referring to certain quotes from the scriptures. That's why Prabhupada named his Bhagavad Gita as it is, and all Prabhupada's books are as it is. Because he's always referring to Krishna's words or the words of Bhagavatam, etc. And so we have so many Vaishnavas who can easily recognize the parts of the scripture Prabhupada is referring to in the purport. And the purport to this verse is very short. And so I wanted the devotees to help me with references. So we're going to read from the first canto. First chapter is Questions by the Sages. And we'll continue with text 23, which is the last text of this chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Brahmanya Dharma Vatmani. Brahmanya Dharma Varmani. Samkastam Adunopete. Swamkastam Adunopete. Dharmakam Sharanam Gata. Dharmakam Sharanam Gata. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Brahmanya Dharma Varmani. Samkastam Adunopete. Dharmakam Sharanam Gata. Please. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Samkastam Adunopete. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Sharanam Gataha. Yogeshware Krishna. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Brahmanya Dharma Varmani. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Ladies, please. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishna. Yogeshware Krishna. Dharmakam Sharanam Gataha. Synonyms. Bruhi. Please tell. Yoga Ishvare, the Lord of all mystic powers. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Brahmanya, the absolute truth. Dharma, religion. Varmani, protector. Svam, own. Kashtam, abode. Adhuna, nowadays. Upete, having gone away. Dharma, religion. Come, unto whom? Sharanam, shelter. Gataha, gone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shil Prabhupada Ki Jai. And so maybe we could have a microphone ready for those devotees who can help us with references, and some devotee would give the microphone after we start reading purport. So translation, Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. Purport. Religion consists of prescribed codes enunciated by the personality of Godhead himself. Anyone can give us reference to the appropriate microphone? Okay, so Archita Prabhu says that it is the reference to the sixth canto, Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam, the words of Yamaraj himself, instructing Yamadutas that Dharma is coming directly from the Lord. Thank you. Whenever there is gross misuse or neglect of the principles of religion, the Supreme Lord appears himself to restore religious principles. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada himself gives the reference. So let's all together remember that statement. Yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyudanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So whenever and wherever there is a decline of religious principles, I descend myself to restore them, Krishna says. Here the sages of Naimisharanya are inquiring about these principles. The reply to this question is given later. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental sound representation of the personality of Godhead, and thus it is the full representation of transcendental knowledge and religious principles. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the first canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by the Sages. Bruhi Yugeshware Krishna Brahmanya Dharma Varmani Swam Kashtam Adonopete Dharmakam Sharanam Kata. Since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the Master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So, this is a very significant text because the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is based on discussions following the answers to the original, how many questions? 6 questions posed by the sages of Naimisharanya to Srila Sutta Goswami. And this is one of those original 6 and very significant questions, where the principles of religion, after the Supreme Lord departed to his own abode, have taken shelter. And of course, Srila Prabhupada already makes it easy for us and gives us a preview response to this question, which comes in the 3rd chapter of this canto, text 43, which is, and I'm sure some of you would know the reference. Anyone knows this verse by heart? Krishna. Okay, maybe a microphone. Please, Archita Prabhu, help us.
Krishna Sudamo Pagate Dharma Gyana Visaha Kalo Nasharisang Asia Puranarko Denodita.
Thank you. And translation also?
This Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun and has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana.
Haribo. This is a perfect Brahmana. All the quotes are always there to substantiate every point. Thank you. So, yes, this is the answer, and this is a very significant answer. And this chapter is very significant for all of us, and Bhagavatam is very significant for all of us. Because Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, as it is a sound representation of the Supreme Lord, and sound is the beginning of everything. Like Bhagavad Gita also says that. First there was a word, and the word was God, and the word was the name of God. So, and for us, the application of Srimad Bhagavatam is the most important thing. Because, yes, it is explained that Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna, and so if we are discussing Bhagavatam, then we are directly associating with Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is actually mentioning in a few places in his purpose that if someone is seriously and sincerely studies Srimad Bhagavatam, one can meet the Supreme Lord on its pages. One can see Krishna directly through the Bhagavatam. It's called Shastra Chakshu. We can actually enter into the world of Bhagavatam. Just open up the book in the same way as one opens up the door leading to the spiritual world and enter there and live there. And we have amazing examples of that. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India, he came across the house of one Brahmana, and this Brahmana invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to stay with him, and then it was, expected that the Brahmana would cook a lunch and offer it to Krishna, and then would treat Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with prasadam, which never happened. The Brahman was not cooking. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, what happened? Why don't you cook? And the Brahman said, oh, my mind is so disturbed by the latest events which took place that the mother of the universe, Mother Sita, was kidnapped by this rascal Ravana. And I just cannot cook. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realized that this Brahman is not really living in this world. He already entered into the pastimes of Ramayana and he lives there. So there are examples like that in the past and also in the present. There are devotees who do not live in the so-called reality we're living in. They're living in the spiritual world. These people are called Jivan Muktas, liberated souls. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that this Brahmana is really grieving, and he wanted to help him. He said, don't worry, that Ravana is a demon, and Sita Devi is the Lord's internal energy, so no demon can ever even touch, what to speak of kidnapping the internal energy of the Lord. That's why the Sita he kidnapped was not real Sita, it was Maya Sita, the illusory representation of Sita. And then that pacified the Brahmana and solved the lunch problem. And then when Lord Chaitanya traveled further in South India, he came across the scriptural reference to the point he made. And so he actually took that reference with him, and on the return, he again passed the house of this Brahman and he showed him the reference that it was actually illusory Sita who was stolen, and so that made Brahmana very happy. So these are very wonderful and inspiring examples, And we should be aspiring to have this experience also, to enter into the association of the Supreme Lord and His eternally liberated devotees, have this opportunity already in this life. And Bhagavatam is providing us with this opportunity. And so it's just a question of how do we make it happen, right? Because even in the material world, know-how is the most demanded what do you call it? Technology, right? All the people want to know how. And so Srila Prabhupada was also stating in the first purpose of ISKCON that we're meant to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge and teach all the people the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values and achieve real unity and peace in the world. And so it's one of the spiritual techniques, know-how. We have Bhagavatam, but this is the question: how do we open that door of the Srimad Bhagavatam and enter into the spiritual world and have the association of Krishna and his devotees there? It is possible, but it starts with the very beginning. Bhagavatam actually shows us how to do that. And the sages of Naimisharanya, they are described as one of the types of neophyte devotees, according to Nectar of Devotion, who achieved perfection in Krishna consciousness. And as we know from Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 types of people who surrender unto Krishna. And so what are the 4 types? Chatur vidha bhajante mam jana sukritino jana arto jigyasu artarthi gyani cha bharatarshava. So 4 types of pious people surrender unto me. And these are distressed, desire of wealth, inquisitive, and the wise, those who seeking for knowledge. And so, which category the sages of Naimisharanya belong to? Inquisitive, yes. That's why they were asking so many questions from Sutta Goswami, because they wanted to understand, they wanted to know how. Right? They knew, theoretical knowledge from scriptures is not very difficult to learn, but the application of it, this is what takes time. The experience, that's the most important thing. And so they were posing so many questions. They were inquisitive, and this was the foundation of the success in spiritual life. That's why sadhu sangha is such an important element in Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness starts with Shraddha, little faith. But then it is strengthened by sadhu sangha. And so that's why Kapila Dev mentions in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how sadhu sangha can help us advance in Krishna consciousness. Chapter 3, Canto 3, chapter 25 and text 25 says, Satam prasanga mama vidya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajjasana tapusvapavarga vartmani Shadarachir bhaktir anukramishati. Thank you. So, it is mentioned satam prasanga. Actually, it is the same like sadhu sangha, satam prasanga, but because satam means devotees, right? Sadhus. And the word which is used is not sangha but prasanga. And pra, as Prabhupada explains, is prakrishta rupana, the intensifying prefix before the word. And so we can understand that it's not just external kind of sadhu sangha. It's not enough to sit next to sadhu, to stand next to sadhu, or even eat next to sadhu to advance spiritually. It has to be prasanga. It has to be deep association. And then through that deep association, through discussing the topics concerning Krishna consciousness, serving Krishna, so this is how we can really advance spiritually. And Mama Virya Samvida, of course, Krishna says, all these discussions among the sadhus are based on my heroic activities, Virya Samvida, because Krishna is the only hero. We can understand that everybody else is zero. And if our value, our real value can manifest only if we add Krishna to our life, right? We can have so many zeros, but they become valuable only if one is added in front of all those zeros. And so, Bhavanti Harit Karna Rasayana Katha, this Katha, this discussion, is real Rasayana, is real nectar. And so, it is entering the heart, Hrit, through the Karna, through the ear. And then what's happening? Tajosana Mashapavargavartmani. One very quickly advances on the path of apavarga. Apavarga Vartma or Varta, the path of liberation. And as we know, apavarga is the opposite of pavarga, the group of what's that? Label and consonants. Anyway, the group of Sanskrit sounds which are papha, babha, ma. Pa referring to parishrama, very hard work. How hard? Pa. Pa refers to penna, which is foam in the mouth. Working very hard, and this country is probably known for the hardest working people. On the other hemisphere, no one works so hard like people here. It's like Europe and other countries, 6-8 hours of working days, that's normal for people. But America, it's 10 to 12 hours. And many times people have more than one job. So it's unbelievable how hard people work. And so, with the foam in the mouth. And then, what's the result of this hard work with the foam in the mouth? Bha. Fear. Right? That one becomes, ba. Yeah, that attachment. Attachments. Bandha. One becomes attached to one's acquisitions and positions and whatever one acquires through the hard work. And then pa. Pa means fear. Fear of losing those attachments. And then what's the result? Ma, which is mara, death. One dies and one loses all the attachments. So one works hard with a foam in the mouth, one becomes attached, fearful, and dies. So that's the material life. But we can understand that apavarga is completely opposite. Devotees don't work hard, they don't work at all, because Krishna consciousness, we can say, is in the category of hobbies. We just do what we love doing, right? And if you really love doing what you do, you don't mind doing that for 24 hours a day, right? And so for devotee, serving Krishna is not a hard work, it's fun. And so there is no foam in the mouth, there is prasadam in the mouth. And there is no attachment, because everything belongs to Krishna. And devotee is fearless. We are very fortunate to have the most fearless devotee as the founder of our movement, Abhai Charanaravinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who showed his fearlessness in Krishna consciousness in so many instances. And there is no Mara, there is no death for the devotee. It's Amrita, Amritya, that devotee becomes immortal even in this lifetime. So these are the effects of real Krishna consciousness. And so we can check how much we're advancing in Krishna consciousness if we getting those effects of Krishna consciousness. And the last line of this verse explains Shadaratir Bhaktir Anukramishati. Very quickly one develops firm faith, rati, attachment to the Lord, and bhakti, love for Him, anukramishati, one after another. So this is the process of Krishna consciousness, and my humble suggestion is that we should really try to understand the know-how. How do we make Krishna consciousness a joyful process, not only for ourselves but for the whole world? Because everybody is looking for bliss. And if we can share the Krishna conscious bliss with people in a very attractive way, there is no doubt that they would gladly take up the process, which we want. So, Hare Krishna, thank you for your kind attention. And so, we have so many wonderful Vaishnavas who can share their comments, or if there are any questions, you're welcome. Okay, microphone, please.
Maharaj, you said that Krishna is the proprietor. How can Krishna be the proprietor and also be the most renounced simultaneously?
Oh, that's a good question. How Krishna can be proprietor of everything, have everything, and at the same time can be most renounced personality of all. Yeah, there is one story about Akbar and Birbal, which illustrates that point. One time Akbar decided to make a competition amongst his court ministers, and the competition was who will glorify Akbar in the best way, and that person would win a prize. And so everyone was saying, oh, you're so great because of this and that. And then it came Akbar's turn, and everyone was curious what the Akbar will say. Oh, sorry, Birbal, yes. What the Birbal will say, because Birbal was so smart. And then Birbal said, Your Majesty, you are so great that you are greater than God. And everyone was astonished. And even Akbar was saying, Birbal, what is that? That seems to be an excessive glorification, because you have to be able to substantiate your claim, because otherwise it's going to be just flattery, not a glorification. You have to give an example. How am I greater than God? And Birbal said, yes, because you can do something which even God cannot do. If you're displeased with any of your subjects, you can banish them from your kingdom. But God cannot do that. Because God's kingdom is unlimited. So we can understand that Krishna has everything, but he is sharing everything. He doesn't need that. Actually, his pleasure is in fulfilling the desires of our other living entities. This is what Nrsingadev says to Prahlad Maharaj. This is my eternal pastime, to fulfill the desires of all living entities. And so Krishna is enjoying that, giving pleasure to other living entities in the same way as a parent, loving parent, enjoys sharing everything he has with his children. Archita Brahma.
Haribol Maharaj, thank you for a very wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Actually, you cannot renounce if you don't own everything. Prabhupada made that point very clearly. He said this business of being a renunciant without reference to Krishna is false renunciation. Because if you don't own something, you can't renounce it. And he gave the example of Bank of America. He said, if you walk into Bank of America and say, I renounce all this money, everybody will realize you're a nut. You're crazy, because it didn't belong to you in the first place. So how can you renounce it? So there's no question of renunciation without ownership.
Thank you. Yes. And this is actually the most wonderful quality of Krishna, that he has everything, but he is so detached. He just wants to use it all for other living entities. And so sometimes, of course, we may wonder, how is that he is fulfilling the desires of all living entities, but then there are so many living entities in the material world who want to become God. And so why Krishna doesn't give them that opportunity to be God? Why he cannot just, give his position to anyone who wants it? Actually, Krishna doesn't mind, like in case of what's that king who challenged Krishna, that Paundraka, thank you Maharaj. Yeah, and so Paundraka was challenging Krishna, you're fake God, I'm real God. And he attached 2 prosthetic arms to his body with the divine symbols, etc. He was saying, you use those divine symbols, but you should, if you're honest, you should just give those symbols to me. And Krishna said, fine, no problem. Catch it if you can. Then first one to go will be Sudarshan Chakra. And so that Sudarshan Chakra, of course, effectively. Apparently, Paundraka tried to catch it with 2 real hands, but it was not successful. That Sudarshan chopped off his 2 little hands and then chopped off his head. But then Krishna actually fulfilled his desires, because he wanted to be like Krishna. And so upon going to the spiritual world, he assumed the position, the form, which was exact semblance of Krishna's form, or Narayan's form with 4 hands, exactly the form he was meditating on. So from this example, we can understand that Krishna actually does not mind to give his position to anyone. If someone is qualified, okay, you want to hold this position, try it. But everyone else fails, so that's why Krishna is there in his position eternally. And as far as the living entities in the material world, they want to be gods. Yes, no problem. This is actually the first stop in the material world. Everyone can have themselves, can try themselves in God's position, have the entire universe at your disposal, be God of the whole universe, which is Lord Brahma's position, right? Because this is the first position conditioned living entity holds, but then, they blow this one as well. So Krishna actually fulfills even that desire. So Krishna is so merciful. He is completely renounced. Even he doesn't care about his position as God. And that's so clearly manifested in his Vrindavan pastimes. He doesn't care about being recognized as the Supreme. Yes, Maharaj, please share your wisdom with us.
Thank you very much for your many answers and for your class. In regard to the original question, how can Krishna be the proprietor and also be renounced? That was the original question. So, first of all, we have to see Krishna is the proprietor, but he sees things in their true perspective. He not only sees the object, but he sees it in dissolution. He sees it in completely dissolved. He sees it in past, he sees it in present, he sees it in the future. So therefore, when you see it in dissolution, what is there to be attached to? Just atoms? Who's going to get attached to just atoms flying all over the place? Therefore, renunciation comes quite easily when you're not seeing something as beautiful, as gorgeous, as it is in its, in the original form that he himself designed it and Lord Brahma created it. So therefore, renunciation, true renunciation generally comes when you actually come to the realization that that brings no pleasure, that it dissolves, it disappears. It's no longer here at some time, so why should I become attached to something that is going to disappear? Or my own body will disappear, and if I become attached to it, I will have to come back to re-enjoy it. And that will always be an enslavement, because all I'll be doing is being driven, looking for it, enjoying it, and then becoming attached to it again, and going through the same cycle over and over again, which becomes quite a miserable lot.
Thank you, Maharaj. Anyone else? All right. So I think if there are no questions or comments, we can finish here. Have an early breakfast. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Пожалуйста.